Hello and welcome to Dishing Delights. My name is Jenica and today I am going to share with you the process of making hot pepper jelly. This beautiful homemade jelly has a sweet heat that's perfect to pull out while entertaining by topping a block of cream cheese or goat cheese or using it in a delicious marinade for your grilled meats. For this recipe, I used 2.5 cups of bell peppers that I chopped up, a half a cup of diced jalapenos, 1 cup of apple cider vinegar, 5 cups of sugar, and 1 package of powdered pectin. You can also use liquid pectin, but you're going to have to adjust to the package directions. The first thing that I did before I started dicing up my peppers is I washed and sterilized my jars and pans in boiling water. That way I could kill off all of the bacteria. And then I set them on a clean, dry cloth. Then I finely diced all of my jalapeno peppers and my bell peppers. When I did the second recipe, which I'll show you later on, I just used a food processor for this, and I think that I'm going to do that from now on. That way my jelly is a little bit better of a consistency and has a little bit less chunks, but this turned out great regardless. So for this recipe, I did end up taking out most of the seeds from the jalapenos. I only kept like 2 in, and then later on I kept most of the seeds in, but this was a little bit sweeter of a pepper jelly. So I just added in my peppers in a large pan on high heat. And then I'm going to mix in my 1 cup of apple cider vinegar, I am now going to add in my 1 package of powdered pectin. Like I said, you could use liquid if you want. You would just have to go by the package directions. I'm going to stir this constantly, and then I'm going to let it reach a boil. And once it reaches a rolling boil, which is a boil that you cannot stir down, I'll remove it from the heat, and then we'll do the next step. Now, you may have noticed that I wasn't wearing any gloves or anything while cutting up my peppers, and you may have rolled your eyes at that if you're an experienced food preserver, but I do recommend using gloves. It didn't seem like it was an issue for me until I washed my face later that night, so learn from my mistakes. Now I just took my pan off the heat for a second, added in my 5 cups of sugar, and then I added it back onto the heat, and I'm just stirring continuously until this hits a rolling boil. And once it hits a rolling boil, which yet again is a boil you cannot stir down, I'm going to let it boil for 1 minute. I did end up adding in like a teaspoon of red pepper flakes because my husband wanted that, and I did like the flavor of that. Now that it has been at a rolling boil for 1 minute, I'm going to remove it from the heat, and now we're going to skim off all of the foam. This is a lot easier with a wooden spoon. Now here we are ladling our jelly into the jars. If you were a professional, you would ladle 1 ladle at a time into each jar. That way the pepper mixture is perfectly even, but I did not do that. I will do it next time. Well, if I remember, I'll do it next time, but you know how that goes. Now I used pint jars for these. Next time I'm going to use half pints. Half pint jars are just the perfect size jars to give out for like gifts or pour over a block of cream cheese. But of course, I didn't think that through when I was making these. Now that our jars are all filled up, I'm going to clean off the tops of the rims with a paper towel that has a little bit of vinegar on it. And then I'm going to add on my lids and my screw bands. I'm just going to add them on so they're finger tight. You want to make sure these are only finger tight, not any tighter, otherwise they may buckle. Now, if you've done this before, feel free to leave me constructive criticism down below because I like learning from you guys because this is my first time. So now that these are done, I'm going to add them into my canner and I'm just going to water bath can these. I'm going to bring it up to a boil and I'm going to leave them at a boil for 5 minutes. These turned out absolutely beautiful. Now this was a little bit mild for my taste, but this may be perfect for you. Oh, also I want to add in that as you can see, I didn't add any vinegar to my water, which a lot of people do. That way the film doesn't get on the outside of your jars if you have hard water. But honestly, I clean my jars anyways, so this wasn't a big deal for me. But anyways, this was beautiful. The next batch we're gonna make, we're gonna keep a little bit more of the seeds in. And we're gonna make it a little bit more spicy. What I am doing here is I'm dicing up my peppers. Then we're gonna chop them up in the food processor. Now what I'm going to do with the jalapenos is I'm going to keep the seeds in half of them. I want this spicy. I don't mind if this is extra spicy. The last batch I made just wasn't spicy enough. Now I used the same recipe for this as I did before. It was a recipe from A Fork's Tale, I believe, and I'm going to leave that recipe linked down below. I'm just going to take all my peppers and I'm going to process this in the food processor until they're the consistency that I want. Oh wow, that might have worked really well. Do you see that? It got speared in there. Alright, I'm just clearing the sides of this just to make sure everything is completely cut through. Look how beautiful that is. All right, let's get to making the jelly. Now my camera ended up dying at this part, so I'm going to fast forward to the final product, but I just processed this just like I processed the last batch. And this is the 6 jars of pepper jelly. So this is the first batch that I made. This is a little bit more mild. And this is the second batch, and it is like more jelly-like. Like it's a little bit stiffer. Do you see what I'm saying? So we've just been keeping these in our fridge, and we've been using these for marinades. But of course you can serve this with cream cheese and crackers. But I am so excited to have this in my pantry. Thank you so much for watching. I think my favorite part about this channel is that I get to take you guys along as I grow and experiment in my own home kitchen, and you give me all so many great ideas. And I appreciate you watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. It really helps my channel out. Until next time, thanks for watching.